wake up. Wake up.
Yeah, see. It's a setup. There wasn't no question. It's a setup.
Whew.
Yep.
Set up.
Exactly.
All right, Craig. So
Yeah.
now, if you can, I don't know how much you can share.
Mm.
Can you tell us about your journey while in prison?
In prison. You know what? To this day, I cannot remember this brother's name. Earl. That was his name.
All right.
So, Baltimore City Jail at the time, because I believe they've closed it.
Okay.
I mean, it was crazy. So, but I believe they closed. But at the time, you know, that's where we were for what we call courtside, just before you get convicted and you're going back and forth to trial.
Yeah.
Some call it steel side. So, I met a brother there, older brother at the time. He was a Black Native American brother. I mean, but an actual Black Native American. You could literally see it on his face.
Yeah.
Not one of them.
Yeah.
I got Indian in my blood.
Yeah.
No. This was a straight up with the hair and all of that, right? So he had been to prison. He was a bank robber himself. So, you know, he met me, you know, we kind of got to know each other. And he told me, he said, listen, you can, because he understood how much time I was facing. He said, you can go into prison and you can become a better criminal. You can learn about every crime there is in the whole 9 yards. Or you can make it your university. Choice is up to you, sort of thing. And when he gave me that, I think right at that moment, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make it my university. Since Boston University didn't want me to get my education there.
Yeah.
So if anyone were to ask me, you know, to sum up my time in prison, because of that great advice, I turned that prison time into a 26-year college experience. And I will put my PhD up against anybody from any university, anytime, any place. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and what's interesting is there was also precedent for that when you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, because he basically did a similar thing when he was in prison. You know, studied the dictionary, studied the encyclodias, studied everything. You follow me? So, so I followed that example. I was very lucky in that I had experience in the Nation of Islam out in the streets. So there was a Nation of Islam inside the prison. So I could kind of gravitate to that organization, and that could keep me out of the gangs and, you know, just involved in a whole bunch of other, you know, crazy stuff. But as I, you know, as my time went on, of course, I moved into other areas. Listen, I've studied every spiritual, religious organization, system, philosophy there is. You know what I mean? Sweated with the Native Americans. I studied Judaism for at least 4 years, almost 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? So I did Sutka, you know, Sabbath, you know, all of that. So, you know what I mean? So, you know, my religious and spiritual education was just as vast. So that's what I really, you know, that's what I did with my time in prison. Of course, you know, inevitably, everybody's got their little war stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, God bless me not to be, you know, permanently injured or harmed, you know, in those scuffles or whatever. But yeah, so that, you know, that's why I just learned a lot. Studied the law, studied business, studied, you know, so I learned a lot. That's
so good.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
And you know, another note, you guys, you have to learn. I don't want to say it like this, but I'm just going to say it like this. No, please, nobody take offense to what I'm about to say. Please don't, because I'm not. Okay, I know how to sugarcoat it, but I'm not trying to like just point out. But I just want to say, you know, one thing I can appreciate about our people, Black people in general, not all, but in general, you know, we just have a tendency, and I think it's because of just our history, you know, generation after generation, we know how to take, generally speaking, a negative situation and to make something positive out of it. And it doesn't have to, I'm saying that it doesn't just have to be Black people, but there's just a consistent tendency for Black people to do that. Now you can be anybody, anywhere, any shape, any color, whatever, and you can do that.
Right.
So, you know, learn to take a negative situation and to the best of your ability, make it positive, because ultimately we have a choice. We have choices. You know, I'm not even trying to go spiritual, but for goodness sake, the Bible talks about how Joshua said, and Moses said it too, you know, I present to you life and death. Choose life. You have a choice.
The choice is yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
That's real. No, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
So thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
And if you can now go into, because you talked about how you were supposed to serve 52 years.
Right.
And you ended up only serving 26 years. So can you tell us how that went about?
Oh, yeah, my man Trump. Yeah, you heard it. I said it. Talking about why Black men voting for Trump. Okay, listen. So now this is, because this is the thing. Now remember, I'm in prison at the time with Barack Obama, running for president, becomes the president, runs for president again, becomes the president. So, you know, the brothers and the sisters that are in the federal system, you know, we thinking, oh man, you know me, our savior has arrived. You know me, oh, he definitely gonna, you know, do this thing right. But we got suspicious when he picked Joe Biden as his vice president. Because we knew Joe Biden was the author of the laws that had us in office.
Y'all heard that?
Yeah, no, that was real deal.
Wow.
So he 4 years go by, he does nothing, says nothing about, you know, the situation. So, you know, oh, you know, he can't do nothing right now. You gotta wait. Next 4 years come through. So he's under so much pressure though. Like, yo, bro, you know, you gotta do something. So he comes up with what I call the Oprah Winfrey solution to the criminal justice problem. You get a clemency. You get a clemency. Oh yeah, maybe you. These anecdotal. We're going to give this. In other words, he never made any systemic changes to the laws that was causing these, you know, these problems.
Yeah.
And so when we saw that, we were very, very, very disappointed. And this was like, I think, the pinnacle of the Democrat Party's betrayal, once again, of the Black community.
Yeah.
Like, we supported the party, even though you know, never did it. We supported this candidate like nobody else ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he was even talking, you know, he had his, I'm not going to do anything for just Black people. He had his moment like that as well.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? So it was kind of clear to us that, okay, Barack is not going to do anything, you know, with this. So Donald Trump is running, and he becomes, you know, he comes down the escalator, and he's like, man, what the hell, you know what I'm saying? But there's rumblings like, you know, man, this man might win this thing.
Yeah.
So sure enough, matter of fact, I'm in transit. I forget where I'm going. I think I'm going to Jessup, Georgia. So in transit, you know, the election day is happening. So by the time I get to where I'm going, you know, they're giving me the news. Oh, you know, Trump became the president.
Wow.
So he becomes the president. The last thing we thinking is this dude going to do anything dealing with criminal justice. You know, his whole thing was, you know, law and order, you know, lock him up, throw away the keys.
Yeah.
I think it was it? Hold up. So he was elected in 16. So he had to start, so 16, 17. So maybe a year after he had been in the office, he's talking about he wants Congress and the Senate to give him a bill to sign to deal with criminal justice reform. So we like, whoa, what's this? So the senators, Mitch McConnell, he only wants to do prison, what they call prison reform, good time, stuff in the prison system. So Donald Trump tells him, no, give me something about the sentencing. Man, when we heard that, oh, what? Oh, Donald Trump is that thing. So he's making it happen. Yeah. And sure enough, man, they passed it. And once they passed that, I got to, I got to filing. And the judge in the case at the time, it wasn't the same judge that sentenced us, but the judge that was over the case, I can't remember her name now. I really wish I should remember her name. She was of the mind that, listen, the time that you guys got had, just had nothing to do with the crime. Yeah. And then she looked at our prison record and the behavior and all of that. And was like, listen, you have clearly learned your lesson. Yeah. But there's no laws for me to use, whatever. So then when Trump changed those laws, she used those laws in order to release us. So in May 13th, 2020, and I'm not good at dates, but I remember that. Yeah. The brother was able to be released, and Donald Trump was absolutely key and essential in it. And he knew, and everyone knew, that problem disproportionately affected black and brown people. Yeah. But it wasn't even a year after it was implemented. We have the actual stats to show that 93% of the individuals who benefited from that were African Americans. Wow. See, the Democrats will say, oh, we did something for everybody, and black folks are disproportionately ill affected by this, but you can't show us that it disproportionately benefited us. But with that First Step Act that Donald Trump called for and eventually signed into law, 93% of the beneficiaries of that law were African Americans. Wow. So amazing. So today, early voting, the brother voted, and yes, I voted for Donald Trump. Yeah, there ain't no question. No, ain't no question. Yes, sir. What? Now, if I was going to wear my sticker, I voted early. But it didn't really go with the suit, so you know what I mean? But yeah, exactly. Wow. So yeah, that's how the brother got out. Wow. A friend of mine, his name is Timothy McCain. That's the brother I work for now that put me in touch with you. Yeah, shout out to Tim. Yeah, right. Big shout out to Tim. I like the way he says it. He says, Donald Trump, the white conservative, passed the law to let the black revolutionary militant out of prison. My God. Yeah. That's but that's where you go back to, like, listen, man, you can't determine how God going to work it out. Yeah. You listen. Yeah. You can't determine how God is going to work it out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You would we wanted the brother to be the exactly. You know what I mean? Okay. I have these moments, and for those who have watched the show, I have these moments where like I just get like stirred up, and then I just got to flow. So I think I'm gonna have a flow moment real quick. Flow, brother, flow. Woo. Woo. Okay. Ooh. Woo. No, it's hitting you. It's hitting. No, it is. It is important, I believe, and God help me to get this out the way it needs to come out. I think it's so important for people to recognize things are not the way they appear to be. And it amazes me how dumb, and I hate to say it, so please don't take offense, but I need you to catch what I'm saying. How dumbfounded people can be by just thinking, this is how it is. This is how it's always going to be. And what they're telling me, that's the reality.
for example, there's people who watch ABC Eyewitness News and think that that's reality.
Really what's happening. Yeah.
Not knowing that these people are bought and paid for by elite people who are running the world, who have a certain agenda to push. And this can be backed up with documented facts. And you still will sit there and watch ABC Eyewitness News.
And believe everything.
And believe every single word they say. But yet it's far-fetched for you to think that, the reality, the help that you really need is coming from a source that you may not even expect. And that's sort of like a spiritual aspect. Like, I know personally for myself, I was in crunch situations. Didn't know how it was going to turn around. And a miracle happened. Coming from an unexpected source.
That's it.
So for Craig, Donald Trump, the least expected person, was his unexpected source. And I'm telling you, that is how the world is. You cannot follow the flow of the system. You will lose your mind and you will go into a hole. And that's what they want for you. There is an agenda in the financial world. There's an agenda in the political world.
That's right.
There's an agenda certainly in Hollywood. And that includes music, fashion, entertainment, all that. That's all wrapped in Hollywood. And they're banking on you not waking up. They're banking on you to just go with what they put out there to you. And I'm just telling you, we're going into 2025. And I wasn't going to bring this up. I really wasn't going to bring this up. But if you just Google 2025 and you just scroll a little, you'll see all the images that pop up either relate to a war happening or some type of pandemic happening again.
Just Google 2025. And go to images. Make sure you're on images.
Movie posters and shit.
What is? It's kind of like apocalyptic kind of thing, right?
The
Okay.
world enslaved by a virus.
Okay, hold up. Now,
What the fuck?
now Google 2026.
Bugattis, trophies.
Glory in a way, like things are going good. Now Google 2027.
But there's a storyline already set in motion.
This is how the Simpsons predict everything.
The return of Christ? That's what showed up.
Okay, hold up. Now go to 2028. End of the world. Devil, the devil and Jesus like arm wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, now go to 2029.
Fucking meteor?
A meteor hits Earth. Go to 2030. This is where it all wraps up.
Aliens? Future civilizations?
A utopia. Aliens come and it's just utopia.
I'm saying that to say there are agendas. And we have to wake up. Because, we know that there was an agenda in 2020 to some degree with coronavirus. To some degree there was. And if you think that they suckered us 2020 and 2021, if they try it again, what do you think they're going to do? I just want y'all to wake up. I want y'all to, and I said this on our last episode with Sam, do your research. You have to do. You cannot just go with the flow. One more time. Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Ooh, okay.
Man. Whoa, okay. We like that flow. Oh, he flowed on that.
Oh my God. That is
That's so real, bro.
It's so real.
Yeah.
It I don't even know where that passion came in me at.
See.
But I can't stand to see people. I do know where it came from.
Go ahead.
And I never would have made this connection until just now. But I had a professor in college. He was actually the oldest professor of that university. He was the first professor hired
Get out of
at
here.
that university.
That's wild.
And a very short, nice, old white man. And this is what he would always say every single class, either at the beginning or at the end, we must stamp out ignorance.
Ooh, heavy. That's deep.
Every time.
Heavy.
Every time before we left that classroom, he would always say, we must stamp out ignorance.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Whew.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where it came from.
Yeah, right.
I just made the connection now.
Yeah. See.
So, Craig.
Ooh.
I gotta reel it back in.
Yeah. But I told you we was gonna go in. I knew we was gonna go
back in.
Yeah.
But Craig, so tell us how life has been now after prison. Yeah,
coming out.
Yeah, coming out. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is like you know how they say you just can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I literally went from a jail cell to associating with U.S. congressmen, governors, senators. Just met a couple of billionaires. They ain't give me no money, but you know what I mean. Just to see that major, shift and transition.
Yeah.
And once again, I got to give my man Tim shout out because he helped me get into those places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that just in general has been my experience. Coming out, just being in a whole other world than where I was before.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was one after kind of getting acclimated to being free, because it took me at least 4 or 5 months before my brain could just accept that I was no longer in prison.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain, but it took about 4 or 5 months for that to subside. But I had the good fortune of meeting a young man, Timothy McCain, and he heard my story. And many people had heard my story, and well, man, you need to make a movie, or whatever. But Tim said it, we need to make a movie, and he meant it. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. And so he literally made the major financial sacrifices in order to produce a docudrama about my life called "Can a Nigga Do Shakespeare?"
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Love and making love.
Pow! You do pop, two, pop. Hating one another. You're not gonna hire me, the white man.
Any black person can relate to that.
We are gonna make America great again. Paying homage to Malcolm and Martin and Farrakhan.
All the world's a stage.
A false creation proceeding from the heat oppressive brain.
Shall in these confines with the monarch's voice cry, havoc!
That's a good question.
And we had an opportunity, and I want to shout out Dame Dash.
Yes, shout out.
Dame Dash Studios. Put the film on his platform. He put the film on Tubi, who he was partnered with. Yeah. And matter of fact, you can go there today. Can a Nigga Do Shakespeare on Tubi for free? Yeah. And check it out. So that was like the first major accomplishment that I was able to do. Yeah. And then through my relationship with Timothy McCain, I started working for him in his group called McCain Partnership Group. And that's how I started canvassing, knocking doors, meeting politicians, endorsing politicians, giving speeches, you know. And through that, I started working, McCain Partnership Group started working with a group called Americans for Citizen Voting. And basically what they're really focused on is making sure that only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in local and state elections. So once again, working with State Senator Brad Overcash, Phil Berger. Matter of fact, I voted for him when I was there too. Another, what's his name? Dustin Hall. Yeah, Dustin Hall, I believe is his name. They were big at making sure that the people here in North Carolina got a chance to vote on whether or not they wanted to amend their constitution to make it clear that only citizens will be allowed to vote here in North Carolina. So we've been doing a lot of poll work at the polls, handing out literature about that amendment and encouraging people to vote for the amendment so that it will be very clear that only U.S. citizens can vote in the election. So that's what, you know, I've been working on some high levels considering, where I've been. And the biggest, of course, thing to take notice of is I'm actually working within the electoral system and process, which is a night and day from where I was, before. So, but what's interesting is because I was more radical and on the fringe and all of that, I can bring that different perspective to ACV, to McCain Partnership Group, and give them a different perspective so that they can understand the frustrations that just everyday people, working class people, justice impacted people are having. Because, they don't really have that direct experience. So, and shout out to Paul Jacobs, who's the founder of Americans for Citizen Voting, having the vision to see that I had something to contribute, and was willing to kind of, bring me on the team as well. So that's so good. That's what. Oh yeah, and of course I got to put this out there. So I'm also having the privilege of working with Simone Pemberton in Cumberland County here in North Carolina. She's running for North Carolina State Senate. Right, and she's been running a very, very tough race against Val Applewhite in District 19. So I've had the privilege of working very close with that campaign. She's trying to do for Fayetteville is amazing. That just in and of itself being able to do that is amazing. And I'm more, here with Big D.E.B.O, icing on the cake, So, then I've had an opportunity to do like 3 or 4 op-eds in Newsweek. I've been interviewed by The Hill, News Nation. So, brother, I'm just moving in circles that, you just would never believe.
And I'm just going to say this. There's this song by Tasha Cobbs-Leonard, right? That she did with rapper Nicki Minaj called "I'm Getting Ready." Now I'm gonna tell you this song. I'm just gonna share this real quick. Be real quick. I will move with it. All right. With this song, the lyric says, "I'm getting ready to see something I've never seen." And then at the very end, she says, "God, you can blow my mind."
Wow.
And I can remember when, before I got into acting, literally, the year before I got into acting, I was working at a school. And for that entire year, every single morning, I kid you not, I would come into that school and I would sing this song. Sometimes with tears in my face. And I would say, I'm getting ready to see something I've never seen. I'm getting ready to see something I've never seen. God, you can blow my mind. And it became so clear to people after school, the staff and the students, to the point where the students heard me say it so much to where they would say, can you play that song, I'm getting ready to see something I've never seen. And to the point where the staff would just look at me. But at the end of that year, God blew my mind.
Wow. Ain't that something?
And the same thing with you.
Oh,
God blew your mind.
Ain't no question. Yeah, because you could never have told me that this would be happening. Yeah, so that's why, it's like I said, bro, we cannot. And that's why I'm real hard on our brothers and sisters of faith who oftentimes want to put certain labels and packages on things.
Yeah.
And if the person doesn't come with that label or that package, they kind of automatically shun or don't. Listen, man, you cannot, I don't care how great in your faith you are, how knowledgeable you are, you cannot dictate to God who and what he's going to use in order to move his salvation forward and the salvation of the people. You can't determine that.
You cannot.
You know what I mean?
And I'm going to say it. Because I'm going to say it. And you know what? I've said it within my family, but I've never publicly said it. And I don't want to deter anybody. But I want to say it. I want to get it out here so that people can understand. Sometimes people think they know stuff, but you don't really know what you don't know. All right.
Exactly.
And so there was a point in my life, a few years back, where I used to say to people, I don't even want to use the label or term Christianity or Christian for myself, because people have just abused that name, abused that term. And just like Craig said, you don't know how God will do what he's going to do and use who he wants to use. I'm going to go here. And I actually did a video on this earlier this year called The Complex of Rahab. A Rahab complex. And God can change your story. No questions asked. All you have to do is ask for forgiveness and accept Jesus into your life. And he will begin the work of changing you. Again, you are not too far for God, and he can change your story completely, and that is the Rahab. You should go listen to that. Rahab was the harlot in Jericho, and her house was the only house that was spared when the children of Israel came in and Jericho fell. The harlot, the prostitute's house, and the children of Israel, the leaders, the men, Joshua said, tell Rahab, whoever is in your house will be spared. In the prostitute's house. So don't think that you're God. You're not God. You don't know how he's going to do what he's going to do. It's for you to flow with him. And the way you flow with God is humility. That's the way you flow with God. And the problem is there's so many people, go here again, there's so many people who get caught up here that they can never go deep with God. They can never flow with God. They think they have so much knowledge, they have so much wisdom, they have so much insight, they have a degree, this and that, and this and that, and the other. And they always will miss it. Yet, your Bible says, Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding.
That's it, bro.
I'ma move.
That's it, bro. We see so many demonstrations of all the time, but we still kind of get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you too, brother. One thing I learned when I was in prison, a lot of times the brothers were getting involved in a whole lot of stuff. And these are grown men.
Yeah.
But they were getting involved in a lot of stuff out of peer pressure. Peer pressure. And when I come out into society, I see the exact same thing.
Yeah.
When I say grown people, I'm talking about 30, 40, 50. And they are concerned about how things look, how people are going to, what people are going to say.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest steps in my life. Once I gave up that, once I stopped doing that, being concerned about what people thought about me, brother, that's when, I would say God was able to really use me.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to look like this or that, whatever. But at this point, I don't really, I'm not concerned with that.
Yeah.
And until you get to that point, you're going to continue to hold on to, oh, well, he did that. And, well, he's on that. He's doing that. And she's doing that.
Yeah.
Man, listen, bro. I always used to say, if God can use a donkey, that's not even a human being.
I was going to say, I'm glad he's saying it.
You know what I'm saying? If God could use a donkey to give admonishment, direction, give sight to, like, hey, man, you don't see this angel standing here? A donkey.
A donkey.
Don't tell me about no human being and their condition and whatever that they can't be.
Come on. That's good.
So that's my.
That's good. That's so good, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I need you to right now shout out your production. Shout out. Make sure the people.
Yeah. Listen, brother. I want to shout out once again, my man Timothy McCain, McCain Entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My name is Craig Scott.
Yeah. We'll put his app on.
Definitely check out my my Instagram and my movie on Tubi. Can a nigga do Shakespeare? Please check that out.
Yeah.
And just keep your eye on the brother. You know what I mean?
Yes,
about what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And let me say this because let me just say this. Not too long ago, earlier this year, there was word out in the entertainment world saying, be on the lookout for Tubi because Tubi is going to be on the rise.
I see.
And now, about 2 weeks ago, there's indications now about it's about to switch. Tubi's about to become the next Netflix. So you're in the right spot right
deep.
now. Like Tubi is now in the works of doing like Tubi originals. And they already have a movie that's about to come out with some like high-end influencers.
That's deep.
So, stuff is moving on Tubi. So you're in the right spot. You're in the right spot. You're in the groove.
That's all right.
You're in the groove. So yeah. We're going to put the ads and everything for you guys to check it out. Make sure you guys check it out. Can I make it do Shakespeare?
Yeah.
And, okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
And this is sort of off topic, but, and this is sort of random, but it goes back to your past.
Right.
It's actually about Tupac.
Okay. Yeah, Pop.
So there have been rumors that have been out in the streets that Tupac was not as hard as he was presented in the media, and that was all for a show. Did you get that type of vibe from Tupac? Like, was he really hard, or was he more soft?
Well, let me say this, because that was another reason why I brought up the fact that prior to Tupac, there wasn't any fights in the school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he always carried a certain amount of aggression and just It's just, was just this very aggressive person. But considering his background, it fits. It makes sense. So I don't really understand how people can come to that conclusion, considering his mother was a revolutionary, was so revolutionary till she was locked up and literally had to have him in a prison.
Wow.
His, the people he grew up with are literally in the street banging it out with racist cops and all this. Going on the run, breaking. I mean, this is all a part of the energy that's surrounding the brother as he's coming up. So I think people misperceive. Artists in general.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? The minute you talk about being an artist, automatically, there's of course that part or that side, the sensitivity.
Yeah.
But always remember the saying: as deep as a man can love, so can he hate. You understand? In other words, just as sensitive as a person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can go the other way.
I got
quick.
you. Yeah.
The in my dealings with him, the brother was never arrogant. He was never somebody that you couldn't get along with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He just wasn't that kind of individual.
Yeah.
But I think that when he got into that Black Hollywood environment, he adapted to it, and you got what you got.
You know what
I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's basically what happened. But I think people like the transition, if you will, was like, whoa, wow, he was a kid.
Yeah.
Then he was a man. Like, you know what I mean? Of course you're going to transition.
Yeah. And I don't know why I'm going to say this. But I'm going to just say it like how I sort of feel the same. And this may sound cliche. The reality is Hollywood can change people.
That's real.
And I don't know why I'm saying it like that, except, I guess now I know why I'm saying it like this. There's a scripture that says, "Let he who thinks he stand take heed, lest he fall." That scripture implies, don't ever think that you're too above falling. So it's the same concept, like, and I've said this before on one of my original episodes of A Moment with D, before SOSA Sam came a part of it, how you don't always know what you're getting into when you go into the Hollywood world. You don't. And and I don't really share this story publicly, but there was this actually I believe it was the very first movie that I ever did. And I did it with some relatives of mine. We were all a part of this movie, but we thought it was going to be something else. And when we got to set, it was completely different. It ended up actually being an X-rated
Get out of
movie,
here.
right? And
they conjure you into
the conjure, yeah. And so we had already signed the contracts and everything, and so we had to go through with it now. And so we film or whatever, and then at the end of production, they asked us, do you want your credit in the movie? And one of my relatives spoke up and was like, no.
Don't put my name in that.
Don't put my name in that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, you don't always know what you're getting into. And sometimes, if you're not strong enough, you can be swayed into stuff. And so I just think, I'm not trying to give excuse to anything, but I'm saying sometimes when we hear these stories about different people, I sort of get it,
right?
Because I sort of had those type of opportunities presented to me. You just don't know, and if you're not strong enough, you're gonna cave in. That's
That's
you know,
true.
it's just like in school, peer pressure.
Peer pressure.
You cave in. It's the same concept. Doesn't matter what part of life you're in. Same concept.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because when you were talking about that, going back to Pac, because I've been in prison and all of that.
Yeah.
When he was locked up in New York, and what's his name? The big guy, Suge Knight.
Yeah.
Offered to, get him out, basically. It really wasn't a wise decision that he made. The better decision, of course, would have been do your time, learn what you need to learn, improve yourself, with that time.
Yeah.
But having gone through the prison experience, I understand why he went on and said, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to sign the napkin or whatever.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that was probably the worst decision that he actually ever made.
Gotcha.
But you can understand why he made it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what came to mind when you were talking about you don't know, you know, what you are getting yourself into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good. That's good. All right. So I got one more topic for you, Craig.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
Okay. What's an unpopular opinion / conspiracy theory that you have personally? If you have one.
Unpopular conspiracy theory principle. I mean, man, that's a hard one. An unpopular conspiracy theory that I can share without looking totally crazy. That's a hard question. I thought I was looking forward to this question. Well, I'm gonna tell you. Let me just keep it real with you. I've always been fascinated with this whole conspiracy theory about the lizard people, the reptilian.
Reptilian.
Yeah. That I've always found that so very, very fascinating. Now, now, I've never experienced it. But you've had these stories about people where, I was with this person and they turned into a reptile or reptilian face or whatever, all this sort of stuff. But if there ever was something that I would probably be open to the possibility of, it might be true, that most people would be like, yo, you crazy as hell. It's probably that.
I'm going to say this. Gosh. I'm not trying to go deep, but I think this is how it's going to end. It's going to end on a deep. I'm so sorry, but y'all just going to have to flow with me for about 2 to 4
Come
minutes.
on, another flow.
All right.
Another flow. Let's go.
All right, so I've mentioned, and I sort of made reference to this to you a while back on Instagram, but I've mentioned on a previous episode that I did with shout out Xavier Cooper, shout out X.
Oh yes.
Yeah, the episode that I did with him, I told him how there was a point in my life, and this is why I'm very conscious about the faith and the reality of there's a spirit realm. There really is. All right, so I'm not trying to spook y'all. It's real. All right. But I can remember there was a point in my life where I was heavily oppressed with spirits to where, and I told this to Xavier, to where if I would fall asleep, I would see demons.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep.
And it came to the point where I was so scared to fall asleep that I literally would do anything I could to keep myself awake. To the point where for 2 weeks straight, I didn't go to sleep. I had so much aches and pains in my body. It was.
That is amazing.
And the freedom that I got was when God revealed to me the scripture, He gives His beloved sleep. And that was freedom for me. It broke it. Yeah. But I'm saying that to say I'm going to give 2 instances and I'm going to run off with it. I'll be done. But there was, and this is the one I mentioned to you, how there was a time where I had this chain cross, this cross chain. And the reason why I'm wearing this chain, this little chain, small cross. This came from Israel.
Oh, wow. That's all right.
Yeah. My mom gave it to me. She went to Israel not too long ago. But outside of that, I do not wear chain crosses anymore. But this particular chain that I have on right now, it has a dove in it, which represents the Holy Spirit. So I was cool with wearing this. Right. But this is the first time since the story that I'm about to tell you, which happened years ago, where I had this chain cross. And I would wear this chain cross all the time. All the time. And one night I went to sleep with this chain cross on. And I had a dream that there were all these demons around me. And they were pulling on this chain.
Wow.
And when I woke up out of that dream, I had red rings around my neck, as if somebody had actually been trying to choke and pulling on my neck. And I said I was done. I was done with chains, specifically cross chains. And I just want to say this because I just want people to understand every cross does not represent the Jesus cross, okay? It doesn't. There are a lot of satanic and witchcraft people who use crosses. But about the lizard thing, the first time that I can remember seeing a demon, it looked very anorexic, very like it was hungry for something, and it looked anorexic and decaying, like something you would see off The Walking Dead.
Wow.
And it was a green, like a limeish greenish color, its skin. So my theory, going to the whole reality of the spirit realm being real, when people say that, they've seen lizard people, I think some of them are just getting visions of demons on people.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Because that description looks like the description of what I saw when I saw a demon.
Oh. That's it. So is it the person is the person being possessed by that demon and someone else sees?
I think
like
so,
it comes forward?
or heavily oppressed.
Yeah. That's deep.
That's just
never thought of that.
That's my
right.
Yeah.
But that's why I say if I could believe that.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of stuff that we just don't know, you guys. There's I will say this because this is true. And I said this on another episode before. If you start looking up, shows, cartoons, and movies produced by Warner Brothers in the late 1990s into the early 2000s, all those productions were agenda pushing productions. Like they were pushing agendas. And so something that you saw consistently throughout that time frame was the splicing of human DNA with animal DNA, which is something that was happening going back. If you start researching the Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants, that stuff was happening before the flood. That was one reason why the flood had to happen, because there's just so much corruption happening on Earth with humans and splicing. But scientists have been trying to do that again, like splicing DNA with animals. So, listen, it's 2024. Nothing's off the book.
Oh yeah, nothing's off the table.
Nothing's off the table.
Right. Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. But Craig, it has been amazing, bro.
But when you were texting me about doing this, I said, bro, this is gonna be happening. Yeah, because I know you. You know what I mean? I know you. And I was like, this is gonna be happening. And, brother, you didn't disappoint.
Man, I appreciate you so much. I do. And again, we're going to put his ad so that you guys can follow and support him. And again, this has been another episode of Moment with D and Sosa, and with my special guest, Craig Scott.
Peace.
And on that, you guys, we are
out.
Yeah.
Man, bro. that was
Bro.
heavy.